Friends wasn't just a sitcom. It was the heartbeat of 90s TV, defining a generation with laughs and heartbreak. But behind Central Perk's coffee cups and catchy theme song, secrets and strange moments simmered just below the surface. These are 10 facts about Friends that will leave even superfans surprised. Number 1. The fountain scene wasn't filmed in New York from Friends. Let's go back to the tune of "I'll Be There For You" and picture the gang splashing and playing in front of a twinkling city fountain. For years, millions believed those opening credits placed the Friends just a stone's throw from Central Park. But here's the twist. There is no Friends fountain in Manhattan. Instead, the whole opening scene with Monica, Chandler, Ross, Rachel, Joey, and Phoebe dancing and lounging wasn't filmed in New York at all. The truth? It was shot after midnight on a soundstage at the Warner Brothers Ranch in Burbank, California. The fountain, so central to the show's identity, was a backlot fixture, not a Big Apple landmark. When Friends premiered on NBC in 1994, the show conjured up the magic of New York City from thousands of miles away. Tourists would hunt for the Friends fountain in vain, while the real one quietly waited under the California sun, occasionally used for other films and sitcoms. Fans felt genuine shock when photos surfaced revealing its true home. It's a classic case of television making us believe, just for a moment, in a perfect slice of New York that never really existed outside of our screens. Next time you hear the theme song, you might just picture the cast splashing in LA, laughter echoing across the empty lot as another Hollywood illusion unfolds. Number 2. Ellen DeGeneres turned down the role of Phoebe from Friends. Picture it. Before Lisa Kudrow strummed her way into television history as the delightfully odd Phoebe Buffay, the producers of Friends had a curveball in mind. In the early months of 1994, one of their top choices was none other than Ellen DeGeneres. Yes, before she became a talk show titan, Ellen was offered a shot at Central Perk stardom. But she said no, a what-if moment, absolutely. Because once Lisa Kudrow walked into that audition, everything changed. Her chemistry with the cast and her inimitable, spacey comedic rhythm gave Phoebe a flavor nobody else could bottle. Lisa's version of Phoebe quickly became the offbeat heart of the series, with moments like her immortal smelly cat performances and off-the-wall one-liners. Friends, which ran on NBC from 1994 to 2004, was electric in large part because each cast member made their role their own, none more so than Kudrow as Phoebe, a character who probably would have looked and sounded wildly different with DeGeneres behind the guitar. It's one of television's little sliding doors moments. Kudrow's blend of earnestness and comedic surprise not only defined Phoebe, it helped bind the group's chemistry in a way fans can't stop watching decades later. Take a moment to imagine Ellen delivering Smelly Cat, then savor the magic that happened instead. As we peel back more behind-the-scenes oddities, you might just see your favorite 90s sitcom in a brand new light. Number 3. Gunther wasn't supposed to be a regular character from Friends. Blink, and you might have missed him at first. Gunther, the bleach-blonde barista with a silent, lovesick stare parked behind the Central Perk counter. In the earliest episodes of Friends, starting with its premiere in 1994 on NBC, Gunther was nothing more than set dressing, a nameless extra meant to fill out the world's most iconic coffee house. But fate and a fateful espresso machine changed everything. James Michael Tyler, who played Gunther, was the only background actor who actually knew how to operate the machine, a quirky skill that kept him firmly behind the counter while Chandler, Monica, and the rest spun their stories. Gradually, the writers noticed his ever-present gaze and began tossing him lines. His unrequited crush on Rachel, played by Jennifer Aniston, became a steady undercurrent of humor and heart throughout the series' 10-year run. Viewers came to expect his resigned sarcasm and perfectly timed deadpan deliveries. By the time the series finale aired in 2004, Gunther had appeared in 185 episodes, making him the show's most tenured recurring guest star. Who could forget his awkward declaration of love for Rachel, or his quiet, steely glare when Ross dared behind the counter? In the end, Gunther's rise from anonymous extra to beloved icon is a perfect reminder that sometimes the smallest roles leave the warmest mark. Onward, we go into the next surprising corner of Central Perk. Number 4. Phoebe's triplets were inspired by Lisa Kudrow's real pregnancy from Friends. Sometimes real life finds its way into the scripts, and in Friends, it happened during Season 4 in unforgettable fashion. The quirky, lovable Phoebe Buffay suddenly became a surrogate for her brother and his wife. A story choice rooted not just in wild sitcom imagination, but in reality. As it turned out, Lisa Kudrow was expecting her son in 1997, and the writers embraced the opportunity with open arms. Rather than hide the pregnancy or keep it off camera, they made it part of the fabric of the show, turning Kudrow's real-life baby bump into a core plotline. The surrogacy arc brought a new depth to Friends' signature blend of comedy and sincerity, giving fans a season full of awkward cravings, pillow forts, and surprisingly touching family moments. Lisa Kudrow's willingness to intertwine her personal life with her character's journey added an authentic vulnerability rarely seen on sitcoms at the time. The result? Phoebe delivered triplets on air just as Kudrow became a mom off the set. That storyline remains a heartwarming example of how Friends could take the weird curveballs of reality and fold them right into its already unpredictable universe. Sometimes life writes the best punchlines, and a few of the most memorable hugs in Central Perk. Number 5. Marcel the Monkey. Wasn't easy to work with from Friends. Some fans still remember the chaos Marcel brought to the Friends set as vividly as Rachel's iconic hairdo. Ross's quirky pet Capuchin, who added plenty of comic relief through Season 1 and bits of Season 2, was more than just a scene stealer. He was a handful behind the camera. In reality, Marcel was played by not one, but two female monkeys named Katie and Monkey. Juggling two animal actors brought unpredictable results. They'd miss cues, wander through props, and even gnawed at cast members' sleeves when boredom set in. It became such an on-set circus that production staff finally replaced Marcel after Season 2, writing him off as going on tour with a fictional zoo. David Schwimmer, who played Ross, famously joked years later about the diva demands of his so-called primate co-star, adding a layer of humor to what was, at the time, a very real production headache. Friends developed a reputation for hilarious outtakes and the cast's tight bond, yet Marcel's unpredictable presence led to groans instead of applause. Still, for a run that debuted in 1994, The Monkey Mayhem is a reminder that sometimes your biggest TV challenges aren't scripted at all. The next time you watch those early episodes, notice the careful editing and imagine the surprises on set just out of frame. Let's pause for a second. Did you ever notice Marcel's antics on Friends? Or did you have a favorite animal sidekick on another show? Share your funniest or most surprising animal TV memories in the comments below. Number 6. An audience member had a baby. During filming from Friends, picture the electric crackle during a live Friends taping at Warner Brothers Studios. Laughter bubbling, actors hitting their cues, audience giggles echoing through the set. But one fateful night in the mid-1990s, Season 2 underway, the normal rhythm was upended by something more urgent than a witty Chandler retort. In the audience, a pregnant fan started having real contractions. Laughter turned to wide-eyed surprise as staff hustled to her side, and filming screeched to a halt. Crew members called for medical help, and the stars, Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, David Schwimmer, and Matthew Perry, all shot glances at one another between takes, half amused and half worried. The story quickly swelled into backstage lore. That evening, everyone joked about how the cast delivered punchlines, but nearly delivered a baby too. David Schwimmer, who played Ross, later recounted in an interview that the audience break became a cherished memory, etched forever into the Friends mythology. There's something magical about a sitcom that becomes so much part of your life that it even becomes the backdrop for major unscripted moments like childbirth. That night, the Friends set brought new meaning to the word live studio audience. Every laugh, gasp, and sigh seemed to echo louder, proof that sometimes the best stories never make it into the script. The lights stayed warm, the actors stayed sharp, and life's surprises proved even zanier than anything the writers could dream up. Number 7. The show was almost called Insomnia Cafe from Friends. Pour a cup of coffee and picture this. Manhattan's favorite sitcom might have been named after a late-night caffeine haven instead of the all-encompassing Friends. In 1994, when writers David Crane and Marta Kaufman first pitched their story about 6 close-knit pals navigating adulthood, they called it Insomnia Cafe. NBC and the creative team tossed around a handful of other ideas. 6 of one made it all the way to early pilot scripts, while Friends Like Us briefly took the spotlight. But in the end, Friends was the winner. Think about it. I'll be there for you, playing over shots of the gang lounging on Central Perk's couch, but with Insomnia Cafe splashed in the credits. The vibe would have shifted. The title Friends captured their effortless chemistry and the universal pull of chosen family. A big reason why the show grew into must-see Thursday night television for a decade. It just felt right for Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Matt LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, David Schwimmer, and Lisa Kudrow to laugh, cry, and grow together under a name that matched their bond. Sometimes the magic is in the details, and the right name can make history. As you replay Monica's nervous energy or Joey's infamous "How you doin'" line in your head, imagine if we all gathered at Insomnia Cafe. It would be the same orange couch, but not quite the same world. Number 8. Joey's refrigerator was actually broken from Friends. Sometimes a legendary sitcom moment comes from a completely unscripted mishap. Picture this: Matt LeBlanc, channeling the lovable appetite of his character, Joey Tribbiani, actually broke the famous fridge on the Friends set during a late-night snack run. This wasn't a clever writing twist or visual gag. Truth is, during the mid-1990s heyday of the show on NBC, LeBlanc accidentally damaged the refrigerator, and for several episodes, Joey's kitchen hosted a truly busted appliance. Rather than replacing or hiding it, the production team simply rolled with it, transforming this small disaster into a slice of sitcom authenticity. Eagle-eyed fans might have noticed Joey using the fridge less, or the door remaining mysteriously closed in certain scenes. What started as an off-screen snack opened the door for an inside joke, underlining the show's easy charm and scrappy resilience. Behind the laughter, sitcom magic sometimes means working around the same problems everyone faces at home, broken appliances included. It's one of those details that remind fans how television sets were living, breathing spaces, filled with unpredictable moments and real-life quirks. As you picture that fluorescent-lit kitchen shimmer beneath Monica's purple walls, remember, even on Friends, sometimes the cheese and soda had to keep cool elsewhere, at least for a few episodes. Let's keep going and see what other secrets were hiding behind the Central Perk laughter. Number 9. Monica's apartment number changed from Friends. The deep violet walls of Monica's apartment are almost a character in their own right, distinct, unforgettable, and totally Friends. But a sharp-eyed viewer may catch something odd. In the earliest episodes, Monica's front door sports the bold number 5. Later, during a walk down the apartment hallway, you might see the number has magically turned into 20. It was more than just a blink-and-you'll-miss-it detail. This swap wasn't intentional at first. The producers, caught up in the whirlwind of crafting television's most famous group of roommates, hadn't thought through the reality that higher floors would demand higher numbers. Monica was always supposed to live above Central Perk on an upper Manhattan floor, not a ground-level walk-up. It wasn't until eagle-eyed fans, and perhaps some attentive set designers, pointed out the mismatch that the show settled on apartment 20 for Monica and 19 across the hall for Chandler and Joey. From midway through season 1 onward, these numbers stuck like glue. Today, this tiny inconsistency feels almost like a secret handshake among true Friends fans, a hidden invitation to the inside joke that helped shape the quirks and charm of the series. As you rewatch and spot that quick flash of number 5, you find yourself grinning at a world that feels lived in, imperfect, and more real for its little mistakes. Onward to other tiny treasures that keep us pressing rewind. Number 10. The cast's insane salary negotiations from Friends. Imagine the whirlwind behind the cameras when every Friends fan tuned in for the final season in 2004. By then, the sitcom's 6 stars, Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matthew Perry, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer, were earning a jaw-dropping $1 million each for every single episode. This wasn't just a lucky break. Together, they did the unthinkable at the time. They formed a united front, negotiating as one and refusing to let their salaries be split or played off one another. Instead of Hollywood pitting one against the other, the Friends cast chose real-life loyalty, standing shoulder to shoulder in pay negotiations as their bond grew even tighter behind the scenes. This move was unprecedented in 1990s television. Their commitment not only secured equal paychecks, but also paved the way for ensemble casts everywhere to push for fairness. Think of the ripple effect years later for shows like The Big Bang Theory. The $1 million figure became a pop culture benchmark, referenced in magazines and water cooler conversations worldwide. While the glossy Central Perk scenes sparkled on screen, it was this off-camera act of unity that sealed their legacy in TV history. As the curtain fell on that unforgettable 10th season, the world saw proof that friendship could outlast scripts and syndication. Somewhere between Central Perk brews and closing credits, a new standard in television was quietly born. Let's pause for a second. Did you know about the Friends cast's legendary salary negotiations? Or do you remember hearing about it back when Season 10 aired? Share your favorite Friends tidbit or which cast member you rooted for most in the comments below.